Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best growing channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Woo! What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Grow Tent. We got a great episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about relative humidity and its importance towards the end of flower. As you guys know, I have had a not great relationship with like hygrometers and stuff like that, and the importance people do place on them while they were in veg and early flower. The only time that I really actually paid too much attention to them, Bella Glitter, is during the end of flower and during the dry and cure. It's really the only times I actually look at it at all. I don't pay attention to VPD or any of that other kind of stuff. During the grow, it's literally I just pay attention to the plant, see what it's looking, see how it's looking like, and adjust my environment from there. So today, that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about. So if you're interested in relative humidity towards the end of flower, and by the end of flower I mean like the last 3-ish weeks, so like weeks 6, 7, and 8. It's the time I really actually start paying attention to what the hygrometers are saying and relative humidity and temperature and kind of stuff like that. We'll talk a little bit about temperature today also. But first, guys, as always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, watch the full video. All that kind of stuff helps a ton. I know it might cost you like a half of a click of a finger or something like that. So I know it's a very big impedance on the speed of which your day goes by. But it is actually a really big help to all of us YouTubers. So thank you guys for all people that take the time to do that. Secondly, if you guys didn't know, the t-shirts are in. Check this bad dog out. That's one of our new ones that just came in. For the last week, I have been shipping orders for about 8-ish hours a day, sometimes 9, depending on what time which kid I have to get from school at the end of the day. But I think I have, I don't know, like 450 orders left to go. So I'm hoping all the orders, if you guys did the pre-order at the beginning of last month, I'm hoping to have all the orders out the door by this Wednesday. Which brings me to another point. I'm going to be in Kansas City at a race on Saturday. So if you guys are bored and in the Kansas City area, we're going to be at Flying H Drag Strip. Racing for $10,000 in the small tire event on Saturday. I'm not sure what time it starts on Saturday. I have to get there Friday night for setup and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure it's like noon on Saturday. So if you're in the Kansas City area or anywhere of the surrounding areas, come over to see us. We'll be in the pits all day. You can just walk right up, say hi. There's nothing special. You just come over to the trailer, say hi. Big silver trailer, bright blue car. Can't miss us. All right, so let's get today's episode started. And then today we're going to be talking about the adjustments that I'd make to the environment during the end of flower. So usually the start of week 6 is whenever I will actually start messing with relative humidity and temperature. And this is also going to, and like all things, this is not like a black and white issue. The way I will adjust it will depend on my cola size. So the bigger the colas that I have in the garden, the lower I will drop relative humidity and the more I will increase fan speed. You're like, well, GT, why are you doing that? Well, the increased fan speed is obvious. Well, I don't know, it might be obvious. It's obvious to me. But the bigger the colas are, the more air they need, and the more their air they need from all directions. So whenever you're dealing with big colas, it's very easy for them to develop like powdery mildew and other things that you don't want growing on your bud. So when we keep the air up, when we keep the airspeed up, it helps us fight off that kind of stuff like powdery mildew. And the bigger your buds are, the easier it is for that stuff to develop, just because there's so much mass right there. They hold all that internal water, and then you don't have any air movement going across them. You got to think, when they're outside, they got wind just 24 hours a day blowing across them. You got a nice breeze. So it's one of those things where I can increase my airflow and it will help prevent powdery mildew with bigger buds. The other thing, it'll prevent powdery mildew on bigger buds. I think I said that. Anyway, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking at my temperature and relative humidity. Now with your temperature, On the outside plants, as it gets to fall, the temperature does start to drop. And while that is a notable thing, whenever you're dealing with outside plants, if you've grown outside plants before and it gets too cold in the fall, you know what you end up with. You end up with bud rot. And that is not something we want for our indoor plants because we can prevent it. Bud rot is, well, the thing that really triggers it is cooler temperatures. When you mix cooler temperatures with big buds, which usually if you're growing outside, you have some pretty decent sized bud because Mother Nature, she's got a handle on this shit. I mean, what else are you gonna say? She's got a freaking handle on growing. So whenever you're dealing with it, your buds are usually pretty big outside. You end up with bud rot really, really easy if you let plants go too long. And it's actually kind of like one of the dances that people play outside is how close can I get them to harvest where I want to harvest with an acceptable margin of losing some of it to bud rot. I mean, it's just dealing with outside. It's one of the things you have to deal with. You're like, oh, I can only get 3 pounds off this plant. No, you end up with a pound because you had to throw 2 pounds of it away because you waited too long to cut it down. And now bud rot's everywhere on it, or powdery mildew. It's one of those things where it's a game you have to play. So DT, but how does this tie into indoor plants? Well, with indoor plants, I don't mess with my temperature falling too much. I keep my temperature pretty stable through the end of flower. If I'm comfortable in there, they're gonna be. I like my temperatures right. Like I'll drop them a little bit. Like let's say if we're at peak flower and I'm in the high 70s to low 80s, I like to drop it a touch. So I have the vents of AC that run into my room. So during the normal part of flower, they're pretty far close. Not because we run all the LED lights. It's not like it's a ton of heat, and then all the boxes for all the lights, they're not inside the tent. They all sit outside the tent. So it's another thing where the heat doesn't get in there. And also we exhaust the lung room. All the exhaust goes out of there. So we're transferring heat out and bringing in cooler air in from the basement. But I can also adjust my central air vent that's in the room on how much open or close it is. So when we get closer towards the end of the flower, I will open it just a touch. All right, I'll open it just a touch, and then I also have a second backup for this. I'll open it just a touch more. I don't mind seeing the temps in the flower room mid 60s, low 70s. So if you're talking you were in the upper 70s to lower 70 and going down to lower 70s, you're almost a 10-degree difference. It's actually something that the flowers quite often pick up on, that 10-degree drop, and you actually can get a little bit of a extra swell out of your buds because the plants realize it's getting cooler with that 10-degree drop from where it was in the upper 70s, low 80s in the room into where it is now, where it's in the mid to lower 70s. That 10-degree drop is enough to trigger them to be like, oh, fall is here, and it kind of gives that little bit of extra push during that last part of flower. Now, as far as the relative humidity goes, this is something you actually can really control. I have a giant dehumidifier that sits in the room because usually being not humid enough, needing a humidifier isn't a thing I have to deal with because I have so many tents, so many plants in an enclosed room. The humidity is usually just fine. It's usually the 50s, 55, 60, somewhere in there, depending on what time of year it is. But adding humidity is not really anything I ever have to do. So when it comes to I have one of those giant dehumidifiers that have the thermostats built into them. I think it was, I'm not telling you to go out and buy one, I'm telling you what I have. I think it was like, I got it from Lowe's. I think it was like $200. So it was not a cheap piece of equipment. It's one of the reasons why I'm saying you don't have to do this. I'm saying what I do. You don't have to do this. I don't like telling you guys to buy expensive equipment. It's one of those things where it made my life easier, so it was worth the monetary because I don't have to adjust it. Since it has the thermostat built in, it comes with a long hose. I just run the hose outside of the room to a drain in the basement. I don't have the little compartment to change. It never shuts off because the compartment's full because the compartment's not there. It just runs on a hose out to the drain, which means it never shuts off. It can constantly drain. And I have it can set. So whenever I am towards the end of flower, I will actually drop my relative humidity down. So if let's say we are at 67%, 65%, and let's say we're in the summertime, we've got all the plants in there, you're at 65-ish% in that room. It's the day after watering it, something like that. So it could even be higher. But you got the fan speed in your tent, so it hasn't been a big deal. But there towards the end of flower, one of the things I want to also help get rid of is the chance for bud rot to get in there. Higher humidity, better chance. So if you add higher humidity and cooler temps, boom, that is 1,000% going to get you bud rot on your plants, okay? That is like the exact recipe. High humidity with low temperatures, golden freaking time for bud rot to, because bud rot is everywhere. It's in the air. It's going to attack the plants, and the cooler temperatures is actually what trigger bud rot to take off. So we just have to find a way to keep relative humidity down while lowering our temperature down, and we can minimize the effects or the taking off of the bud rot, which is why I don't ever drop my temperatures too far, because bud rot can really start to take off, like activate as soon as you get into the 50s. It's like you get your shit into the 50s in temperature, like when it would be outside at nighttime in the fall, activated. And it grows on the inside, so you can't even tell till it grows all the way through the inside, and then start seeing it on the outside. You get the like thick spider webby looking stuff right there, and then the plant material under it starts turning brown. You start getting dead spots all over. It's bud rot, and we don't like it. All right, but as far as the humidity goes, I will actually drop that from, and once again, it could be as much as 15 points. So if we were at 65, which is on the higher side, I'm talking with like slight extremes here, I try to bring that all the way down into the lower part of the 50s. Now, once again, I said I don't pay any attention to VPD or any of that kind of stuff. What that does to that, I don't know. I know it has really, I don't pay any attention to it. I know it has really good results on my bud, and not ever developing powdery mildew, not ever getting bud rot. Really, the main focus here is bud rot. And then plus, when the plants get that temperature and relative humidity difference, because once again, it's usually in the fall here, it's the temperature's dropping, the relative humidity goes down with it. So that triggers into the plants like, hey, this is fall. This is kind of like our last push. And what they're trying to do, what we're using against them is the fall is coming. They haven't gotten pollen yet. Hopefully they haven't gotten pollen yet. And so they say, oh, crap, this is kind of our last thing here. We really need to catch some pollen on the air or attract a pollinator. So the plant has one thing that it can do to do this, and that is going to be to increase the size of the bud. That works twofold for them as far as trying to reproduce. One, the bigger they are, the more they smell, the more likely they are to attract pollinators to them, bees or whatever. They'll bring pollen from the male plants, and they'll land on the female plants. The pollen that is all over their legs will get dusted off onto the hairs on the buds, and that's just the way it works. That's how pollination happens. So the bigger the bud gets, the more hairs they have all coming off of it, the more likely it is for a bee or whatever to fly and land on them and pollinate them. The other thing is, the bigger they are, the more square footage that they actually have. Pollen that's being carried on the air has a better chance to hit them and get caught up in all the hairs on the buds and then brought into there to where they can reproduce. Now, if you're growing indoors, one of the ways, this is slightly off track, so this is just my brain trying to like go down a bunch of different paths all at the same time. If on that same track, this is also one of the ways that we can get them to reproduce asexually. Basically, they will do it all by themselves through a process called rodentization. This is way off track from relative humidity and temperature. Should we just do it like a separate episode? Are you guys even interested in this kind of stuff? Put it down in the comments if you want to even hear more about this. I think that's way too far off track when we start going into that kind of stuff to talk about when we're supposed to be talking about. I get off track sometimes, guys. It's my ADHD, and it's like that dog from the movie Up Squirrel. What was that over there? I'm very easily distracted. So let's save that for a different episode if you guys even want to hear about that kind of stuff. If you guys want to do an episode on rodentization and long flower times, and put in the comments down below, we'll talk about that, but I doubt you guys will be too interested in that episode. So the biggest thing is drop your temperatures a touch. Don't get too crazy. And whenever I'm talking about don't get too crazy, don't forget about your lights off schedule. So when your lights are off, what is the temperature in your room getting down to? Especially if you have your lights going off at nighttime. Like a lot of people do, not all of them, because there's some people that we like to run our lights at night. So the sun balances out the temperature in the day, especially during the winter. The sun and natural ambient warmth of the house balances out their warm temperatures in the morning and throughout the day, and then at night when it would be cold and then really cold, especially in a basement, we have our lights on at night, so it keeps that temperature balance up. But the biggest thing is like remember to figure out what your nighttime temperature is in your room, in your tents, when your plants are supposed to be sleeping. Especially if you're going to grow in a basement like a lot of us do, or in an attic that maybe the insulation isn't as good as we think it is. It's really important to figure out what the nighttime temperatures are getting down to whenever you're doing this, and make sure they're not getting down too low. Because I've had a few people that are like, I can't figure out why I'm just getting these huge stunted growth like during veg, and they're growing in the wintertime, and they're like, I can't figure out why these plants just aren't growing. It turns out like their grow room was getting into like the upper 40s during the nighttime, during lights off. All we did was switch the light cycles to when the lights were on at night, kept the rooms at like the high 60s instead of getting into the 40s. And then naturally in the daytime, the house is warmer because even though it's cold outside, the sun hits the house, keeps the house warmer on the interior, and so it got that problem to go away just by switching the lights from daytime to nighttime. I feel like I've reached the critical mass point of this video, though. What do you guys think? I think we've talked about it. So it's basically just I lower my temperature about 10 degrees to where it's into the lower to mid 60s, and then relative humidity for the grow, we are going to drop it, and generally I like to try to keep it around 50-ish, 45-ish. If we're in wintertime, it might be even a touch lower. It's not too bad for my room because I got a big sealed room now, but when I grew in an unfinished basement, it was rather difficult to maintain the relative humidity because the relative humidity for the ambient air would be like 19. So back then I did have to run a humidifier kind of in the area of the tents, just trying to keep it up because we were having to water so often because the relative humidity was so low. All right, I hope you guys all have a fantastic week. Remember, this Saturday coming up, I think it's the 24th, we'll be in Kansas City at a race. If you want to come hang out with me, come stop by, see me, hang out. Now, I'm going to be racing a car, so if you guys want to smoke, great. I can't smoke that day with you. Racing a car. They frown upon that at the races if the driver's high. All right, so it's one of those things, but you can more than welcome. Come hang out and hang out with us. I might put you to work. You'll be like, hey, we need the rear tires aired up to 15 pounds each. I hope you guys all have a fantastic week coming up. I'll see you later. I'll be shipping orders again starting tomorrow, and I think like 400 something. I'm going to try to get out the door by Wednesday at the latest. So all the orders will be out by this Wednesday. That's a GT guarantee. I guaranteed it. Now watch, I'll go to break my legs, fall down the stairs or something after this video, and I'll be like, oh crap, I just lied to everybody. I hope you guys all have a good day. I hope you all enjoy the t-shirts that I designed and made, this being one of them. Hope you guys all enjoy them, and I know I had a lot of fun making them, and get ready for the grow off we're doing for the pheno hunt. Super excited about it. And yeah, more news coming soon about something else. I don't like to talk about new stuff until all the orders from the last one's completely drop. But I have a feeling you guys are really going to be into this next one coming up. Just a feeling. All right, we're gonna roll with that. All right, I'll see you guys later. GT.